Is it constitutional for Quebec to ban public sector employees from wearing religious clothing such as the Jewish kippah, the Sikh turban, or the Christian cross, or the Muslim hijab? They did in 2019, and now the Supreme Court is about to decide whether this is in fact legal. The bill in question is called Bill 21, and it prohibits employees in certain jobs described as having coercive authority, so judges, police officers, prison guards, and very controversially, public school teachers, from wearing religious symbols while they are at work. It's important to remember that Quebec has actually had a really long, angsty struggle to establish a secular political culture. Up until the 1960s, the Catholic Church had kind of a stranglehold on institutions like health, like public education. Banning hijabs and other kinds of religious clothing might sound really wild to many Canadians, but in fact, this legislation is not unique globally. Bill 21 takes its cue from legislation passed in European countries like France, Belgium, Austria, Denmark, and in some Muslim majority countries such as Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, where this legislation is sort of ostensibly to promote social integration. Members of affected religious groups in Quebec have expressed that this law makes them feel like criminals. They're doing something prohibited. Theoretically, the bill affects all religious groups equally, but in practice, religious groups have different requirements. It affects non-Christian communities much more significantly. The most visibly affected group to date have been Muslim teachers who wear the hijab. One of the big arguments that proponents of Bill 21 will offer is that this bill protects equality between men and women. From the perspective of the government, this is really a feminist law. But when you look at the polling, this bill has much higher support among men than among women. In every age group below 75, men are much more enthusiastic about this version of women's rights than women are. This is a poll conducted in 2022. And in the same poll, people were asked to describe their level of positive feeling towards a set of major world religions. Christianity inspired the most positive feeling among Quebecers, followed by Judaism, followed by Sikhism, and in last place, Islam. More than half of respondents said they had a negative view of the faith. The same poll also asked Muslim women about their experiences in the public sphere, and 66% reported that they had experienced hateful remarks and sometimes even physical attacks. This past March, the government tabled a new bill, which is Bill 94, which extends the secularism program. It is certain to include an expansion of the prohibition on religious symbols in schools. Right now, this only affects teachers and principals, but it is going to be expanded to include cafeteria workers, janitors, after-school program supervisors. The bill may also prohibit parent volunteers from helping out at the school, at the library, or in any other function while wearing a religious symbol. And there is talk of a prohibition that would affect homeschooled children who need to access state-funded teaching resources like speech therapy. There have been many, many challenges to this bill. Notably, the one that has gotten the most traction comes from the English Montreal School Board. Due to some of the historical quirks of language legislation in Canada, minority language school boards have a charter right to manage themselves and to supervise their own schools. So the English School Board in Quebec has been somewhat successful in arguing that they are not subject to having their hiring processes hijacked by the government. One of the big things that matters legally about this case is that when Quebec passed Bill 21, they used the notwithstanding clause, which shields it from the kind of legal challenges that you might expect to succeed. Any kind of challenge based on freedom of religion or other charter rights that the notwithstanding clause kind of gets around, these have not so far succeeded in court. So sometime in the next few months, the Supreme Court will hear this case. So it'll be the last time for the Quebec government and its supporters on this bill to square off against the English Montreal School Board and other dissenting groups. Notably among them this time, the federal government, which has come out against this bill. So this will be a real test of whether this particular method of promoting secularism within Quebec can be compatible with the Canadian Constitution.